now tuned in to the cold, hard truth. Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips@caymanmarlroad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
Oh, yeah. It is a beautiful Wednesday. Gotta make sure I keep the dates right in my head because you guys know I'm in court tomorrow. So I do not want to accidentally miss that date. I'm here for it. Let me see what else is going on. Just checking the news feeds really quickly. And then we can talk about a few other things. So there's a CPA meeting this morning to discuss this new project. That is slated for the Newlands area. It's a new Ace store. I don't know if we mentioned this in the show yet, but they've got a number of objectors to this project. Good morning, beautiful Natalie. How are you? Morna. There you are. Oh gosh, looks like I need to do some adjustments with my camera. We do have some special guests that are joining us at 9 o'clock. So let me just remind Danica of that because she definitely needs to come in before then. And the guests are going to be telling us about some services that they are offering. So today is Wednesday. And if you have a small business, medium-sized business, large business, doesn't matter. If you want to get the word out there about the services that you offer, then you can certainly do that through our Everybody's Business segment, because it's everybody's business here in Kierman Mall Road. So yes, we are in everybody's business. And trust me, when you're running a business, you want everybody to be in your business because that's good for you. That means that people know what's going on. So we'll be talking to a company called Refresh, and we're going to find out what they are all about. Good morning, beautiful Corrine. Have you been out exercising this morning? What's the deal? Corrine is one of our exercise warriors. She has really gone out of her way to put her health first. She goes walking, she exercises, she's lost some weight. I don't even know how much weight she's lost, but I think it's a bit. So, yeah, we're going to encourage all that great behavior because we ourselves here at CMR are trying to get back on track and do what we got to do. Good morning, Daisy. How you doing? Daisy's always fit and fabulous. Olivia is here for it. Melita got her Cayman flag rocking as her profile picture. Corrine says, yes, she's done her 3 miles for the morning. Good for you, girl. We'll soon be trailing behind you in the virtual world anyway. Good stuff, good stuff. So last night, actually yesterday, we got a bunch of messages about a young lady who was posting a video about how she came to be in the Cayman Islands. Now, who knows if this stuff is true? Like, honestly, sometimes I watch these videos and I think to myself, this is somebody who's just clout chasing, like we've said before. You know, they make up all sorts of stories about their lives, their existence, and who are we really to question if it's authentic or if it's true? Because at the end of the day, do we really even know? Not really. They could tell us anything and we'd be like, okay, that sounds about right. So I always take everything I see, especially on social media, where someone sits down and just does a video. I take it with a grain of salt because we just don't know. So this girl did a video claiming that she enlisted for the Army during what was some sort of manic episode. No, I don't know if she's actually clinically manic or not, but she described it as a manic episode at 3 a.m. or something. She decides to enlist. So, you know, we saw the video, people tagged us in it. It was on Instagram and someone tagged us and, let Cayman Mall Road get a hold of this. Because I get that we cover certain news stories that nobody else covers. And we do a lot of social media coverage. So if something is trending on social media, we're going to cover it. Other media, not so much so. Although I must say that I have noticed with the Compass that they have began more and more to actually get into this sort of thing now, whereas before they weren't particularly bothered. I do think that they are just looking for content. So if that means, getting on the ball with whatever's trending on social media, because listen, this is where the conversations are happening. The conversations are happening on a social media platform. And I must say that if I was to look at what has happened with Cayman Mall Road objectively in the last 3 years versus other media houses, the way that we have really made an impact is we tapped into the social media platforms. And these other entities, CNS, Compass, they'd been on there for at least 10 years or more, but it wasn't really the place that people went to. So the Compass, you were still buying the hard Compass. There was a few of us who were, reading it online. So it's possible that they just didn't understand the importance of the social media impact and how everyone was using this medium to have their conversations. So all of you are engaged at some level in the community. And honestly, you do that through social media in the vast majority of cases. So I know where you guys stand on politics. I know how you're feeling about the US elections, if you care. I know what hot button issues right now are trending in the Cayman Islands. And I know all of that stuff because I'm cued in to what's happening on social media and the conversations that you guys are having. So CMR has set ourselves aside in that regard, in that, we keep a pulse and a little eye on what's happening on the social media Mall Road. And so, as we've said before, if you look at our little description on our website, we took an old concept of the traditional Mall Road and we have now put it on its toes. And we are now talking about the, the super, my apologies, I'm just adjusting my second monitor here. We're now talking about the super information highway Mall Road, the virtual Mall Road, because that's how information is shared. And we all have our smartphones. And by the way, big shout out to Isaac Rankin for giving me the sticker. I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is our coat of arms. And I've stuck it on my phone case. And I love having that little nugget of representation representing the Cayman Islands. So he gave me 2 of these stickers and I've used one already on my phone case. Love it. Looks nice. So yes, this is how we engage. This is how we get our information. It's kind of where it's happening. So we watched it. And, at the end of the day, I thought, this girl's probably looking for attention. She just looks like someone who's looking for attention, to be honest. And so I didn't pay too much mind. Then I started getting phone calls like, who is this girl? What is her deal? What is she up to? Why is she on social media talking about the fact she doesn't ever mention the Cayman Islands, by the way. She just says she literally just says that she is on a small island and she's come to this small island. She just jumped in a plane, got in a condo, and she's on a small island. And then she makes mention of the fact that Cayman is so small that you have to zoom in on the map to find us. That's funny because she sure found us. So yeah, I started getting phone calls, people saying, what is this girl doing? How did she get here? People were taking her literal when she said she just jumped in a plane and got in a condo. She did have a brace on that looks like these iSmart device braces. And so, let's just have a look at the video, because I think if you guys see the video, then you'll have an idea of even what I'm talking about. So let's just have a look at the video and then we can discuss after.
So one of you asked for a story time on how I had a manic episode and ended up moving out of my country to an island in the Caribbean. Well, it all started at 3 a.m. when I enlisted myself to join the army. Basically, for context on that, I watched Black Hawk Down and was like, yes! Then I woke up the next day like, oh, holy shit, what did I just do and how do I get out of this? Not realizing that I was still knees deep in a manic episode. So I booked a flight, got a condo, and now I live in a tiny island. It's like one of those islands that you gotta like zoom in really close to see. So there you have it, boys and girls. Sometimes mania is not cutting and dyeing your hair at 2 in the morning. Sometimes it's joining the army and then running away to a different country to escape it, when you could have just unenlisted. On my viral video, or the video that's currently going viral right now about me moving to the Caribbean after enlisting in the army and running away from it, people are like, so did you unenlist? I didn't know I had to.
All right, folks. So there is the video that is trending this morning, and I was just reading some of the social media comments. So listen, she claims that she enlisted in the army. I don't even know what that means, really. Not like you're going to be sent off to war or something. And because she enlisted in the army, she wanted to jump on a plane and come to the Cayman Islands to run away. She doesn't ever mention the Cayman Islands, but there is a map of the Cayman Islands in the background if you look closely of that condo. And there is, also the bracelet that she's wearing. She goes outside on the porch at some point in the video. And so, she's talking about, the fact that she's jumped on a plane and came here. Well, it is interesting that she has said that. So she has said those things. I don't really know, how truthful her story is. I can't speak to the truthfulness. I do get the sense that she is putting on a particular accent that isn't her accent. Her name is Katie Kennelly. It looks like, based on her TikTok. So that was a TikTok video. So based on her TikTok handle, but she does have a lot of followers on TikTok, my apologies, TikTok. But she has actually removed and taken down her account. So we couldn't see anything else about her, but we did see her little social media handle there in the video. So is this a big deal? Well, it depends on how you look at it. It's not a big deal if she is probably in another manic episode. Like I said, she has said she's manic. I don't know if that's a clinical description of what she actually is, or if that is just her saying, people use those terms very, very loosely. Regardless, if you believe even a nugget of her story, a small portion of her story, she says that she was able to come here rather quickly by just jumping on a plane. So listen, we've got Danica. Danica says her time is limited this morning, so I'm going to have to pause that conversation. I know we were just getting into the meat and potatoes of it, but let's get a regional update, and then we're going to come back to it. Yes, Sue, we're very much aware of what bipolar disorder is. I don't know, like I said, if she has it. but let's dig into it a little bit deeper. But Danika's only got 15 minutes for us this morning. So let us join her in the conversation. Good morning, Danica.
Morning, Sandra. Good morning, Cayman Islands. How are you guys?
We are good. What's going on?
Well, the big news across the Caribbean has to be the fact that the Center for Disease Control and Prevention has recently updated its COVID-19 risk assessment. And guess who is in the high risk level?
Jamaica.
Oh, how do you know? We are now level 4 classification. That means that Jamaica is considered a very high risk COVID-19 destination, but we're not alone. Most of the countries in the region, I don't know where Cayman places, is listed in the high risk category. This has caused some challenges for countries like Bahamas, I believe Barbados. They've been pushing back and saying this classification is unfair. However, Jamaica seems unfazed. As usual, no problem is what we have here. We have no problems, or so we try to convince the world. Talking about somebody in a manic episode, I think we as a nation need therapy, but that's okay. Well, what has happened is that Jamaica has a tourism resilient corridor. So that's just their new expression for an area where they're basically quarantining tourists. So basically, when you arrive in Jamaica at Montego Bay or Kingston, as a tourist, you are supposed to head to the tourism resilient corridor, which I think extends from Mobay to Ocho Rios. It's basically the same old shenanigans of an all-inclusive hotel. Basically, you're not really leaving the location to do anything. You're just enjoying sun, sea, and sand, and this is supposed to quarantine you with your fellow Americans. So if you catch COVID, you likely caught it there. And so Jamaica said, we have a tourism resilient corridor. We don't know what you guys are talking about. It's no big deal. For Bahamas, they've said that this kind of puts a stigma on traveling to the Bahamas. Personally, my views are that it doesn't really matter all that much because you're coming from a place where you probably got COVID there. You know, you guys have well over 100,000 cases in some states. You have a whole bunch of deaths. Chances are you maybe caught COVID at your yard. You didn't come to our yard and catch it. So that's COVID, that's the CDC, that's what's been happening regionally in terms of things that have been impacting everybody in the regional community. Again, as it relates to COVID, many countries are beginning to update their Christmas holiday schedule. By schedule, I mean curfew. So as you know, the majority of us Caribbean people are forced to be inside our homes at a particular time. In Jamaica yesterday, the Prime Minister, during a sitting of Parliament, updated the nation on the proposed times. And I say proposed because a lot of media houses have ran with the idea that it is going to be the time, but it's the proposed time. How law works, I don't think a lot of people understand. Just because the Prime Minister announces something in Parliament doesn't necessarily make it true. It has to be passed and it has to be a part of the Disaster Risk Management Act. One of the loopholes, I found this interesting, the Prime Minister was going to slide this under the radar. One of the things that I found interesting was that he basically said the Disaster Risk Management Act now needs to be updated. While the gathering is 15 people in public spaces, most people are now throwing huge house parties because guess what? 15 people in public spaces? My house is not a public space. So they have to now strengthen the clauses that are in this Disaster Risk Management Act now to include private spaces because people have just found loopholes, and we Jamaicans will find any reason not to follow the regulations. So those are the things that are happening.
Oh my gosh, I have to laugh how you say that.
It's true as a nation. whether the older folks agree or not, we have become a very disorderly society. We have become a very anything goes society. I know older Jamaicans listening will say, you've said it so casually, but that is what it is. We've become an increasingly
Non-compliant.
unconcerned, non-compliant,
Yes.
very rebellious country. So that's kind of what's been happening with the COVID-19 and the region. Some interesting things that have been happening. As you know, I wrote this story over the weekend where basically we have over 1,182 murders since the start of the year in Jamaica. This weekend was extremely bloody. There were at least 2 double murders, 1 triple murder.
Wow.
The triple murder rocked the nation because it was an 81-year-old grandmother and her 2 grandchildren, and everybody's been talking about it. And the problem always for me is we pay lip service for 5 minutes. Everybody gets it. Oh, it's so gruesome. But we never address the underlying causes of violence in the country.
Now, do we know why an 81-year-old woman was targeted? I read something on our Facebook page where someone said it was because her grandson had some connections to gangs or something like that.
Possibly. I mean, it's unlikely that an 87 octane, that's what we call criminals, 87, 90, those are the different types of criminals. That's what we call them. We kind of call them like gasoline, would target an 81-year-old. It's unlikely she would have done on anything quote unquote wrong. I mean, nobody deserves violence, but we almost excuse violence when we say, oh, they were involved in bad company.
Right.
It's likely that she was targeted because of her child. And in Jamaica, there's a common expression: if you can't catch Quaco, you catch him shut. So I can't find Sandra. Sandra,
say the saying again. If you can't catch what?
If you can't catch Quaco, you catch him shut. Quaco. I don't even know what that means.
Okay.
Sorry.
But you catch his, you get his shirt? Oh, his shirt.
Yeah, but in Jamaica, the old expression is
I know
shut.
what it means, but I just hadn't heard of that particular way of saying it before.
So if you can't catch...
So in other words, they just get anybody close to you.
Right. So I can't catch Sandra, so I go after Sandra's housekeeper. I go after Sandra's dog, because even a dog was killed in this incident. It's crazy. It's wild. But I will say this, because we do have these conversations about violence a lot. Violence in Jamaica is very much concentrated to people, communities, and those sort of involved. This 81-year-old woman was not involved. I doubt that highly. But her network somehow must have been entangled in all of this, and it will come out in the wash.
It's so unfortunate though, because I mean, you say that people are involved, and of course you know that I have Jamaican family members through my in-laws, and the times that I visit Jamaica, there are very much random people who are targeted. I mean, the last time, I don't think it was the last time, but one trip that I was there, a friend of my in-laws had been, there was an attempted robbery. I guess they wanted her cell phone or whatever. They didn't know that she was a firearm carrier. So she did shoot at them. I don't know if she actually shot them, but she did shoot at them. But she still got injured in the process. There was a double homicide when I was in Jamaica the last time. I can't remember what area that was, but we were heading out to the Blue Lagoon. So trying to drive this long distance. And I always say to my husband, I would rather not be on the streets of Jamaica at night, because it seems like if shit's going to go down, it tends to go down at night, although really it doesn't seem to matter any time of day. But
daytime.
Yeah. So I kind of felt like, at night there is a greater risk. And sure enough, on our way to this resort, we came to a stop right after the bus that we'd been following for miles and miles and miles on this windy road. And then the police were out, and CID and these uniforms, whatever, and they're like, oh, okay, don't move, stay in your cars, everybody stay on the bus. because there was just literally a double homicide right in the middle of the street, and they don't know if the gunmen are still in the area. I'm like, what the Roz? So I do feel like,
I think
people always say it is concentrated and it's normally targeted, but I think there is this overflow of violence. Remember, there was a young lady the other day, they were trying to kidnap her, and her father tried to save her, and they ended up killing the father. I mean,
yes, Sandra, but it sounds preposterous, but everything is in a context, is in a vacuum. So when I was a child, I very much took that same opinion. Jamaica must be an extremely violent place. However, what I've come to notice is that violence always has a backstory. So one of the things that when I was a kid that happened was these two old sweet people died. They were killed very brutally. And I always wondered, I said to myself, but Mandeville is a relatively quiet place. This doesn't happen. Years later, we come to discover that a lot of these people, one of them, I think, was a funeral home director, was transporting substances in the caskets from abroad. So a fisherman was killed. Why was he killed? Killed in such a gruesome fashion. Coke washed up to the shore. He happens to take away. Remember, Jamaica is a transshipment port. So a lot of the violence is related to economics of the situation. So if you take away people's stuff, yes, you could be a sweet little man walking about your business. You find this, you come into contact with this, and you do otherwise. This puts you in a position of danger. I walk to the supermarket in Halfway Tree. I do not have any violent encounters. I really do know that the majority of violent incidences, and the police will tell you this, have a backstory. Because we never bother to tell people's backstory, we don't humanize victims, it makes it seem as if it's random. A lot of the people do get themselves in trouble because they are in things. I remember a tourist came here and he tried to kill his wife in Montego Bay because Jamaica has a bad rap. And they found out that this is what he came here to do, to try to kill his wife. I think she was Canadian. It was documented. So people do exploit the situation, but in general, in large part, it's not a violence issue where you're going to be sitting in your house and a stray gunshot just kills you. The vast majority of crime that happens in Jamaica is linked to scamming, drugs, or their family members are involved in stuff. And when I say stuff, no matter how you see the people in Jamaica look innocent and sweet, they all have backstories. And another thing that people fail to recognize, there was a girl that went live on Facebook. She had gone to a place called Barbados. I didn't even know that this was an issue. People will go to islands on the weekend, and I guess it's like a form of prostitution, and they will solicit money from men. Now, when they do this and run off, they do hire hitmen in Jamaica to get rid of them. So you do find that these things happen. It's just because we don't really go and we don't go digging. 3 people died. We never go back to the story. But chances are, when you look in a detective's file, he'll tell you, other than if you live in central Kingston, pockets of Spanish Town, the chances of you encountering violent crime, rare. Will somebody try to rob you and pick your pocket? Yes, that will happen.
What about sexual assault and rape? Because I've heard of stories where people came in from the airport and they were targeted.
Personally, I don't know a lot of sexual assaults and rapes. I don't.
The murders kind of overshadow everything else, I feel like. But my husband said the first time his family had a close instance with violence was years ago, but his grand uncle was actually killed by a neighbor. He was stabbed to death by a neighbor because, it was something really stupid. Like the neighbor was just upset that he had put up a fence or wall or something. And his solution to that was to stab this little old man who was like in his 70s or something.
But people do those type of things, but that's a culture of violence, though, because you do have neighbors that will kill neighbors. I know of families that poison the other family because they had a dog in the the yard that they didn't like. So they sent a bunch of boiled dumplings over and killed the entire family. It's crazy.
What?
So we do have a culture
The
of
boiled, you
violence.
can't even trust the boiled dumpling?
Listen, we do have I feel stupid saying that, but it's true. We have a culture of violence where we don't know how to handle disputes properly. So we just kind of take it out on everybody involved.
Right.
And
So
I feel like
this is big news. I even see the Gleaner has this, Danica, 8 murders in 48 hours. And they have said a man in this, I think is even since you did your story, perhaps, but they said a man in Thompson Pen, Spanish Town was held at gunpoint on Monday in order to summons his wife, Janice Allison Reed, who was then sprayed with bullets while her children barricaded themselves in a room. My God.
So as I said before, we carried the story that
Yeah.
we even have the Kadeem Angus in our story. So we did put up a story that talked about the bloody weekend, at least 8 killed. Since then, we've had murders. I think maybe the Gleaner just saw your story and regurgitated it because it was so gruesome, because they do have some of the stories that we have mentioned in our thing. It is, the violence problem is,
My God. When I read how even the Gleaner describes it, listen to this one. The decomposing body of 68-year-old Elijah Griffiths was discovered in bushes in Kitson Town on Monday. The head partially severed. Then they go on to say, and on Brunswick Avenue, 22-year-old Kakeem Angus was killed outside a bar, his eyes blown out. I mean, the way that the Gleaner writer is depicting this is, it talks about the macabre trail of blood and gore marked a morbid 48 hours with 8 slayings in St. Catherine North, the second bloodiest police division in Jamaica, and crude murders.
right.
Unbelievable.
That's as I said before, it's not new. If you're looking for more information on Jamaicans' violence problem, I would encourage everybody to check out Politrix Watch. He does a very good job of explaining, getting behind the stories. We've had beheadings since I was a child. In certain communities, they'd behead you and put your head in the middle of the road as a trophy. And when the police came to take up your head, they'd start shooting again. That's not new. That's in Lauriston. Those are in places that you had gangs, and these people were in part affiliated with the gang or somehow got caught up. There have been innocent people that have been impacted by violence in these communities as a result of just living there. But I mean, this is not going to happen in a Cherry Gardens, in a Norbrook, in a high-end society, because these people wouldn't tolerate it. So this is very much segments of the population that unfortunately nobody cares about. There's no national outrage, because guess what? The government doesn't have a call center to sap these people up in. And that's a reality. Nobody wants to talk about that. But the reality is, if this were impacting a tourist community or a tourist town, people would not go for this. They would never stand for this. One tourist, if they got bitten by something, it's huge international news. And that's one thing Jamaica can't afford. So in tourist towns, you don't find this. In Kingston and St. Andrew, certain divisions, St. Catherine North, there's holes.
Is Mobay considered a touristy area?
Yes, but the pockets of Mobay, Greenwood, those places, they have places called Sufferers Heights. Nobody's going there. They're like a clan unto their own. So when you're in your Ritz-Carlton or whatever hotel, you're far removed. And I always say Jamaica's like a Netflix series, right? You get to walk past the violence. You get to I see tourists walking down places in Jamaica that I go, I wouldn't walk down there. They're taking pictures. It's just a Netflix series to them. They are protected. Not so much. You're a Jamaican. Your life is almost valueless. Be a Canadian and have something happen to you here, and then you'll see action. We spend way more resources tackling COVID-19 than we spend tackling crime, because the people that are dying in criminal acts are not people
They're
that
disposable, is what the government thinks, I guess.
Of course, because it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
I mean,
They don't
we've had at least, I think at least one Cayman killed in recent times in Jamaica. And it was just like, yeah, whatever. No one really batted an eye about it. Because, I mean, he was a criminal and he had ran from the police here. So I guess when he went to Jamaica, he's probably hanging out with other criminals. And, you know, they say you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You live with
And
gun,
that's
man,
what
they
it
gonna
is.
shoot you.
And that's what it is. So even when you have a lot of people saying, you know, we need to be a better country, it doesn't affect the right people for it to be taken seriously. It's just whatever. So if you die, you're living in Lauriston, you don't pay taxes anyway. I'm
So
not saying that
Hilton says that Professor Freddie Hinklin, I don't know who that is, a former psychiatrist, did suggest that the entire nation of Jamaica has serious personality disorders. Okay. So a simple issue that could be resolved through traditional problem solving is solved by violence.
as I said, we need national therapy because we are so angry. I don't know what we're angry with, but I do know, for example, I even have to caution and restrain myself because sometimes I think the people wake up in the morning to piss you off. So people can be very irritating in Jamaica. So I'm not even going to front. Sometimes I find myself holding back because the first thing to do is to scream, is to shout. It's difficult, but we grow up in that type of aggressive
That's what I was
way.
going to say. Are you, I mean, there's a lot of theories about why certain societies are more aggressive than others. But do you find that you were also like there's probably little that shocks you? You're also desensitized to a lot of the violence, like when you hear these stories?
Of course, because when you live in a place where you also see the buildup that happens before these stories, you become desensitized. You become not concerned about the victim because you say to yourself, these people can be irritating. I could see how this could go that way. And I'll give you an example. You have two neighbors that live in a yard. They share the space and they will have an animal that probably bit you a couple of times. You've gone to the hospital. And then one of the neighbors gets up and poisons the dog. Somebody will say that's incredibly cruel. But I can see how it could happen because there's not a good social system for us to resolve problems. When you call the police, they're not really showing up like that. They're showing up when you're dead. They're traveling with a van to throw your body in. That's just how it works. We do live in an incredibly selfish society where people are only concerned about themselves and their immediate needs. So you'll live somewhere and you'll do your best to be as considerate as possible. But you have other people that, to be honest, COVID's been the best time for a lot of people. There's been a lot of areas that haven't gotten a break from noise. I heard an old lady said she can finally hear again. So I get why people are frustrated because we have people that simply go against the law. You know, it starts with things so simple like illegal vending. When you pitch your tent outside of my store, that creates problem. And we've allowed these things to escalate all in the vein of, boy, you have to eat a food. We don't have a structured society. So this is why these things happen. You have man chopping off next man's hand. Because guess what? You stole from me 10 times and I'm tired of talking to you. So I get it, although I know it's wrong. So that's my contribution for today. I have to run.
All right, Danica.
Bye, CMR.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Have a good one.
You too. Cheers.
All right. So Danica was busy. I had to let Coco in. She was scratching at the door. So you can see her tail. Do you guys see her tail wagging in the background? Coco's like, I need to get in on this. So Danica has some deadlines that she's got to meet today. Tracy says, my take on it is that in one word, it all comes down to the disease. Is bad mind born with it. Some adopted it, while some practice it. Interesting. All right, so that's our Caribbean Connection Wednesday segment, short and sweet today. Let us jump right in. And by the way, big shout out to Danica. She is doing a fabulous job. She has really, stepped up to the plate in terms of joining our program on Wednesday. She does contribute quite a bit of content to the website. And whilst I know some people complain that, oh, this is Cayman Mall Road, why are you reporting on anything else that happens around the world? Which I think is so incredibly ignorant of people to say that. Every time somebody says that, I just like roll my eyes. I'm like, Cayman does not live in isolation. Like, we are connected to people all over the world. A lot of you who watch this program on a regular basis are Caymanians or Caymanian adjacent individuals in Jamaica, in the UK, in the States, in Paris. I just saw Barbara check in with us. Barbara is all the way in Europe. So it's always silly when people are like, oh, just only report on Cayman News. Well, we report on, trust me, as much as Cayman News as we can get our hands on. However, there is also, other news that happens elsewhere in the world that impacts our lives. So going back to this video that we were talking about earlier with this young lady. So the young lady, like I said, she claims that she was having a manic episode. She joined the army and then she decided to run away from enlisting in the army and come to the Cayman Islands. She makes it sound really, really easy. Let's play the video again, just in case you missed it earlier, because I know some of you jumped in to the conversation since then. So here's a video that was trending yesterday. It is a TikTok video, which is another social media platform. People grabbed it off of TikTok and they were starting to share it on Instagram and other places. So here is the video.
One of you asked for a story time on how I had a manic episode and ended up moving out of my country to an island in the Caribbean. Well, it all started at 3 a.m. when I enlisted myself to join the army. Basically, for context on that, I watched Black Hawk Down and was like, yes! Then I woke up the next day like, oh, holy shit, what did I just do and how do I get out of this? Not realizing that I was still knees deep in a manic episode. So I booked a flight, got a condo, and now I live in a tiny island. It's like one of those islands that you gotta like zoom in really close to see. So there you have it, boys and girls. Sometimes mania is not cutting and dyeing your hair at 2 a.m. Sometimes it's joining the army and then running away to a different country to escape it, when you could have just unenlisted. On my viral video, or the video that's currently going viral right now about me moving to the Caribbean after enlisting in the army and running away from it, people are like, so did you unenlist? I didn't know how to.
There is another video of her as well. I thought we had put them all in there, but there is another one of her like going outside, kind of headed towards the beach, and people are like, is she allowed to go out on the beach? Listen, I don't know what this lady's backstory is. I don't know if she's actually bipolar. I don't know if she, really just jumped in a plane and came here. I guess so. She appears to be in quarantine. She does appear to be wearing the quarantine bracelet. And some people said that they reached out to her on social media and she was kind of like, oh, well, my dad is here. So she came with her dad. So I suspect she has family here. She's got some sort of a connection to Cayman. She seems to be putting on an accent, which is interesting because it seems like from our research that she's actually from the UK. I mean, from Canada, I think we said, anyway, we dug up on her a little bit and there wasn't a whole lot to find. She did seem to have a very popular TikTok presence. And so I think that really this is someone probably just looking for a little bit of social media attention. And a lot of people did tag us in it. We did have phone calls in relation to this, people saying, hold on a second here. Did she really come here that easily? And, they kind of tagged us in it. Like, can you look into this a little bit more? Like I was saying earlier in the program, listen, CMR, we are what we are. And one of the things that we do is we keep a pulse on what is happening in the community and where the discussions are. So some people are like, how is this even allowed? Are we a jurisdiction to protect individuals who are running away from the army? I don't think that that's the real issue here. Because I don't think she's really running away from any army per se. I think what is happening is, I'm just trying to look at another. I'm just trying to find the other video where she's like going outside and stuff. But I think really this is more a question of she's giving this impression to individuals out there that it is so incredibly easy to come into the Cayman Islands at this point in time, which maybe it is. We saw people breaching quarantine in excess of 15 times and only got fined $1,000. So maybe it is very easy to come into the Cayman Islands, although we claim that we're under some strict protocols at the moment because of COVID. But yeah, she said she came in easily enough, and she was able to just get out there and do whatever she wants to do in terms of jumping on a plane and getting here. And that was that. I really think this is a situation of someone looking a little bit of social media attention, and it is what it is. It's a discussion point. People are talking about in the community. That's why we covered this story. Now, what is even more interesting, so Jessie picks up that at one point she's speaking with a little, like a Brit, and then her accent changes. I think she was just putting on that British accent. I don't think she is from the UK at all. And I do not even know she enlisted in the army. And so one of the interesting things is we did the story, and then all of a sudden people started jumping on it. Mostly our foreign nationals. So we have a guy here who he works at Osetra Bay Restaurant and Lounge. And he jumped in, Benny, he jumped in the conversation. What people don't realize, I think this is so incredibly interesting, and this says a lot about individuals, right? It says here that Benny is from Zimbabwe. We cover stories all the time that if this was like a Caymanian and it was trending, we would have covered it. The only difference is Benny would not have cared, and he would not have commented on it, and he would not have read the story with a side eye like, oh, you're picking on her, which was his take on the whole situation. Benny's like, why are you picking on him? Like, how are we picking on the girl? We've simply reported the story, reported that the video is trending, which it is locally. Even her herself acknowledges that it is trending. And like I said, I don't know if she's clout chasing or what it is that she's doing. But, Benny jumps on and he's like, WTF, why would you attack someone for wanting to change their life and want better for themselves? What is Benny talking about? First of all, nobody attacked her. You guys can read the article for yourself. And it almost seems like Benny must know her. Like maybe they're friends for him to get so defensive. So no one attacked her. No one certainly is saying anything about her wanting better for herself. We were just like, listen, this video is out there. It's trending. The title actually says video trending after woman claims to have just jumped on a plane and moved to Cayman. And that's exactly what she claimed. So we're attacking her how? There was nothing in this article that was attacking her. We simply quoted what she said. And Jonathan says that she probably has family here because the surname is pretty common. Well, not that particular spelling of the surname. So Kennelly isn't Connolly, which I think is what you're confusing, Jonathan. So I think that Connolly's, which are people from like primarily East End, that's a totally different name than what she has spelled. So I think that hers is probably like a variation of that name, but it's not the local connection at all. So I doubt she has any like local connections, but you know what, Jonathan, her dad is here, her mom is here, whatever. She's got family members that she's probably in quarantine with. But given this sense to people that, oh, I just jumped, she said, I booked a flight, got a condo, and now I live in a tiny island. It's not quite that easy, I hope, for our sake, to be able to come here. But like I also said, I don't think she's being 100% genuine about what actually transpired. So whatever. She does stammer a lot in the second video when she seemed to have been under a little bit of a pressure. She's like, oh, my video has gone viral, or it's going viral. And she kind of stammers through, how she felt like she needed to enlist in the army. And like I said, there is a third video of her actually going outside, heading like towards the beach. I don't know if she actually went on the beach, but she was on a patio area. So it looks like she's probably from Ontario, Canada. The thing that bothered me most is how she thought it was funny to say that Cayman is one of those islands that you have to zoom in really close to see it. We know the Cayman Islands are small. Believe me, we're very much aware of how small it is. And the way that she kind of said that, I guess she was trying to be funny. I mean, we talk about how small Cayman is all the time. And there was a point in time when Cayman was not even on the map. So Benny took offense to the article. Then he says that, I am ashamed you're called Cayman Mall Road. What happened to Caymankind? Benny, dude, you need to take a couple chill pills and just relax yourself. Trust me when I tell you that for you to even make that comment, you really have no concept of what Cayman Mall Road is about. And we are as Caymankind as we can be, but we're also Cayman truthful. And so if something's happening in the community, people are talking about it, it's trending, whatever, we talk about it. It is interesting to me, though, that anytime we report on certain segments of the population, I guess everybody feels that way, people believe that we're picking on them. So we've addressed this before. It's kind of calmed down now with our Jamaican friends and family, because most Jamaicans know that that is total BS, right? Oh, Sandra doesn't like Jamaicans, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, really? It's so ridiculous that, now I was leaving at the police station yesterday. I had to pop in there in Georgetown, and I had a Jamaican guy stop me in his car. He's like, yo, keep up the good work. Yeah, man, you're doing a good job. We love you, blah, blah, blah. So we picked up support across the board. And I think people realize that we're not picking on Jamaicans. We're not picking on Filipinos. We're not picking on Caymanians, because honestly, we have covered everyone. So if this was a Caymanian doing a video that was going viral and that people were talking about it, we would have put it out there. Benny has never paid any attention to that, because I doubt that he even follows her platform. This is just a situation where, like I said, he's probably friends with this young lady. What's her name? Katie. And, he just wants to jump in and defend her. But there's nothing to defend. No one's insulting her. People ask questions about, if her story is true, well, how did she really get here? Like Roderick said, it's a little insulting that you're going to be talking about how small we are. Well, if we're that tiny that you had to, pinch and zoom in on the map to find us, the question then becomes, well, how did you even come here? Where are you from? Where did you find this? There are much bigger countries in the world and bigger islands that you don't have to zoom in on. So that was kind of interesting. And then we had, so Benny, sorry for you, but obviously you do not follow our platform. And then we had GY Ashkenaz also come to her defense, saying, ooh, wow, this is big news. Nobody said it was big news, GY Ashkenaz. Absolutely no one said it was big news. What we said is it's trending news. And it is trending news. And numerous people sent it to me. So according to this young lady, she studied She said she studied bullcrap at the University of Liverpool. Well, you seem to still be engaging in it, to be honest. And then we have, so this story is more about the comments than anything else, to be quite frank. And then we have somebody else who jumped in. Let me see who else decided to jump in and try to make this about us. We had Gavin, typical of a gossip page, he says, trying to make something out of nothing. And we're like, Gavin, you know, why bother? If you don't like CMR, you think it's gossipy, good for you, and you don't have to read it. So then he replies and says, same reason I follow Trump, want to see what you're going to say next, not because I like him. Okay. So you give us one more view because you just want to see, because you're gossipy. Okay. So, yep. And then we have another person who else was there? But most of the comments were like, listen, get off of CMR's rear end, folks. You don't follow this page. You don't have a clue. And you know us already. We will respond in kind. We are very much like, irks, pump your brakes. We don't really care what you think, to be honest. If it's trending, it's trending. And we're going to report on it. And it doesn't matter who it is. We're not prejudiced towards anyone. You know, we defend Caymanians when it's necessary, Jamaicans when it's necessary, the Filipino community when it's necessary, our American, friends and family when it's necessary. It's not about so much who you are and where you're from. It's about the issues that we are discussing and we're intertwined with. And we do live, like I said at the onset of the show, in an environment where the social media discussions is where it's happening. We're all doing stuff on social media. And so sometimes there are things that are trending locally that we have to discuss. It reminds me of the young lady. Remember the young lady, Gina? I don't know what her last name is now, but she had posted a video on her Instagram page where she was talking about a little boy and how she was attracted to little boys. And Gina is at least 21. She's in law school overseas. And we posted that up on our platform. We didn't think that was funny. That is not becoming of anyone to say that you're sexually attracted to little boys because you can control them. And she made mention specifically of wanting to be with a 9-year-old child. And we did not think that, that was funny. And I don't care who she is. I don't care that she's a Caymanian. I don't care that her mom is a lawyer and the dad is her stepfather is a big time developer in the Cayman Islands and a Cayman Airways pilot. None of that matters to me. The issue is what she said, which had gone viral, and the fact that it was trending. And there's some serious concerns about what she said. And so, yes, we discuss things that might not be, it's all serious news, like, an explosion happened here, or, this. We cover those stories too. But that isn't who we all are 100% of the time. So CMR does engage in, off content news. In other words, we cover the social media stuff. We cover the backstories that everybody's kind of interested in wanting to know. Yes, sometimes it is gossipy and it has a gossipy element to it. And so what? Who cares? We are still, by all accounts, or by most accounts, I should say, the go-to source for news here in the Cayman Islands. It's like when we say to you guys that, the Public Accounts Committee has asked for Linford Pearson to be removed from his chairman position of OFREG. That is a very serious story because OFREG's failures impact us. We all need to utilize telecom, whether it's internet, phones, all of the different things that they are in charge of, because they're not just in charge of telecom, fuel. So there was supposed to be a whole monitoring of the fuel industry, gas prices and whatever, which we complain about incessantly, right? Those things impact our lives. The utility regulation organization is a very important organization. And they have, by all accounts, according to both the Public Accounts Committee and the Auditor General, they have been running in a less than professional manner, in a less than efficient manner. And there have been a lot of issues since that entity was put together that is costing the people of the Cayman Islands money and other things in terms of the quality of the services that we are receiving. They're current licensees in telecom who do not have a current license, an updated license. And so what does that mean? That's because there are issues with off-reg directors deciding that they no longer needed legal counsel to help them do their jobs. And so before, when Mr. Ali was in charge of just the ICTA, he had at his disposal ICTA trained and experienced attorneys who could assist him with negotiations and different things. So yeah, we put that story out there. That's a humongous story. The Compass hasn't touched it because the Compass is probably thinking, well, we don't know Sandy's source. We don't know where she got this from. But at the end of the day, CNS covered it. So CNS was like, well, according to Cayman Road, this is what the deal is. We have tried to ascertain if this is true. And of course, the records for the Public Accounts Committee would not be public at this particular time because the Speaker of the House refused to have it tabled. You guys will remember that because we covered that story too. So his refusal to have it tabled, when you read the story, that's what the story is all about. The story is about political interference. Why is he refusing to have a report from the Public Accounts Committee tabled when he has no legal right to do so? This has never been done in the history of the Legislative Assembly before. Under what grounds is he trying to do it? But now this story about Mr. Linford Pearson gives you the reason why McKeeva Bush is trying to block it. They are, whether they're official lodgemen, I don't care, but there is a fraternity of people in this country that protect each other, and they fall into that fraternity. They both in the Legislative Assembly representing this country years ago. And so he is seeking to protect Linford by not having this report be tabled. But how does that work exactly? Because you don't have the power to do what you've just done. And so, yes, we put the backstory out there that this is why he's trying to do this. And so we cover very serious stories like that. You guys know sometimes we sit here and we just talk about the sus and who's trying to be ghetto fabulous here in the Cayman Islands, who's living off of NAU and trying to be ghetto fabulous because they're abusing the system and misusing the system. So listen, if you don't get by now that Cayman Road covers a wide variety of content, right? We cover a really wide spectrum, even outside of the Cayman Islands. Like the other day, we did a story on the fact that there was a menage a trois in a call center in Jamaica. That did not happen here. I'm very much aware of that, thank God. But you know what? It was trending. The video, yes, I saw the video, and it was all over the place. Tons of people were into it. Tons of people were actually watching the video. I had people circulate the video to me and say, hey, is this in Cayman? Because they weren't sure where the video was. So when it eventually came out that it was actually a call center in Jamaica, and these people were in the work bathroom having themselves a good sexual time, I said, you know what? It's not a big story, but apparently 8,000 of you were interested in the story enough to read it. And so we put it up, and 8,000 people read it, and 8,000 people must have found it interesting at some level. And we do have a readership that really does cover a broad spectrum from, the US. Funny enough, this is really quite interesting, actually. The people that really utilize our platform outside of Cayman the most are actually Americans, which I have always found to be really interesting. Like I would have thought for sure Our Jamaican counterparts are into the sus, they love the news, whatever. And they do, but they are not, they're not really the ones who are like eating it up. It really tends to be Americans more than anything else, which is kind of interesting, I think, but whatever. People like news from other places in the world, and it is what it is. So this young lady, like I said, I don't know where her story is. I don't think it's anything earth-shattering. Hopefully it's not. Bonnie says there's feedback. Is anybody else having a feedback? Is it the audio feedback issue that you're hearing? Anybody else having that? But yeah, you know what? Whatever. Katie, you'll be fine. Hopefully if you do have mental health issues, you get that checked out, because unfortunately, going to social media and, putting your information out there, even about your mental health, if you do have those issues, which again, I do not know if you do, I would suggest that you turn to a professional. Social media isn't really the place to address those sorts of issues. So hats off. I see Scott Novak was even commenting on this one. I hardly hear anything from Scott these days. I think he might be living in Jamaica. Beto actually had a comment on this story as well. Beto says that, listen, anytime a Caymanian speaks up about an expat, the expats come out in droves talking shit, and yet they love to run Caymanians down on a regular basis while living amongst us. Sad thing is, when a foreigner moves in to their country and takes their job, they're quick to kick back, but don't see when they're doing the same thing in someone else's country. I think it really, Beto makes a good point here, in that, our perspective is oftentimes skewed based on where we're from, and we only see things from that particular angle. And this is why I say all the time, the best thing for people to do in this world is to get out there and expose yourself, travel, go see different things, go to different places, live in somebody else's country, even if it's just for a couple of years, so that you can get a taste of what it's like to be a foreigner in someone else's country. Because then you get to see a totally different side of things. I have lived for 15 years. I lived, part of that, obviously I was a child and part I was an adult, but I have lived in somebody else's country. And I know the difficulty of going to someone's country that you're unfamiliar with, making the transition, especially as a kid, adjusting to all sorts of different things. There wasn't a huge language barrier there, but there was a barrier there, because when I went as a child with this thick Caymanian accent, none of the other kids in the US understood anything I was saying. They actually said to me, "Are you speaking a foreign language?" I was like, "What? I'm speaking English," but they didn't understand. And so, yes, Crystal says, I really want to do a year abroad in Shanghai. Do it, Crystal. Post-COVID, of course. Wait until we've sorted out COVID. But yes, travel. Go to Europe. Go to Asia. Live in a different place and get the flavor of different countries and how they operate. When I first came back to the Cayman Islands, I always thought it was funny because I had a lot of foreign friends. I mean, it is what it is. And I had a Canadian girlfriend, Nicole, at the time. Nicole said to me, hey, are you aware of how difficult it is for us to get through with immigration paperwork? And I said, really? Oh my gosh, here in Cayman? And then she's like, yeah. And she got her paperwork and she started showing me like what she had to do and whatever. And I'm thinking, girl, please, have you ever done any paperwork in Canada where you're from? She's like, no, but why would she have to? She's a Canadian citizen. She's never had to deal with, Canada immigration system or whatever. And I said to her, in the US, that same process would take years. I'm like, you're trying to get something done. You know how long it takes for your application to even be heard in the US? You know what the fees are like? The scrutiny. It was just like, girl, please, you have no idea. People talk about marriages of convenience here in the Cayman Islands. Well, when you marry an American, they do certain things to try to ascertain if that is a legit marriage. And they will take people and separate you into two different rooms and ask the husband, well, tell us about your wife's menstrual cycle. And if you don't know that question, they're going to be like, are you really living together as husband and wife? Because shouldn't you know when she had her last period? This is the real world, folks. People do abuse immigration systems all over the world, not just here in the Cayman Islands. So yes, elsewhere in the world, they also scrutinize the process and they will ask questions. But she was not aware of any of that because she's never had to deal with it. And I can't fault people who just haven't had the experience. What I fault them for is being incredibly ignorant in their commentary, especially in social media, and trying to make us feel a particular way about these things when we shouldn't. Everyone has their prejudices, everyone has their viewpoints, and the way that you get through all of that is you talk to one another, you talk to people, you find out things about people, and you live a broader experience if you can. If you can't live elsewhere in the world, one of the beautiful things of living in 2020 in the 21st century is we do have access to a lot of information online. So I can sit down and watch a video of people in Japan and see what their life is like. There's a guy who does, he has his own platform. I follow him on both Facebook and YouTube. He has a YouTube channel and he does a lot of videos surrounding Japanese life. And so one day he did one about the typical life of a Japanese mother, a young mother. And I found it so interesting. She got up super early in the mornings to prepare a meal for her husband, the bento lunch kits. And it talked about that a little bit. And, it was kind of interesting because we all have very common things. So she, for example, before she got married, she didn't know how to cook. So, but one of the things that she was keen on learning how to do, because in a traditional Japanese environment, the women still very much play a supportive role in the family. So they are childbearing, helping with the household goods and all that kind of stuff, household goods, household chores, raising the children, cooking the meals. They are taking care of the family, and the husband goes out and works. So yes, she actually, I think she was a trained lawyer or something, but she gave that up to get married and to have a family. And so one of the things that she did was, for an entire year before getting married, she took cooking classes and she learned how to cook her traditional Japanese dishes that her husband would want. And he actually manages a chain of restaurants. And so, it was talking about how she got up, she fixed his breakfast, got him ready. Then she started to prepare the baby's stuff. And, again, in Japan, it's very typical for a lot of mothers to not buy formula or have pre-made baby food. They're making a lot of the baby's food because it is cheaper to do so. And it's also healthier for the baby. But a lot of it was really cost factor. So it's so interesting to get a glimpse of other people's lives. So yeah, I may not be able to travel to Japan ever in my lifetime, who knows? But, through the avenues that are available to us, back to this whole concept of it's all on social media, I can get an idea of how some people in Japan live. Obviously, this was a very kind of middle class family. Her husband was a manager, like I said, at a group of restaurants. Their condo seemed really super small. That was one of the things that I thought, like literally the room, like she's stepping over the husband to kind of get out of the bed. Because, I guess real estate in especially in the cities is really compact. So yeah, I watch shows all the time about real estate values in New York. What are you getting for it? How much you're paying, what the job market is like. We can choose or not to expand our horizons. And that's one of the reasons why even here in CMR, I do not believe that we should be just reporting on Cayman News. We don't live in a bubble. We live in a world that includes the Caribbean and the broader world as well. And, take the opportunity, folks. Don't be so close-minded all the time. So Louis says, I've been there, people, not a joke. Thank you, Louis, for sharing that. Mary is in agreement. She says, you got that right, my dear. Aliano says, I lived 5 years just outside of Atlanta, went to school and dealt with the extremes of immigration. It was an experience indeed. Woo! Listen, Aliano, U.S. immigration is no joke, my brother. People thought maybe it was bad during Trump's time, but it's always been very cumbersome with a lot of paperwork and a lot of back and forth and all sorts of stuff. And that's just the nature of what it is. You know what I mean? So yeah, what can I say except try to broaden your horizons a little bit. And I think that we would all be better off for it. But I do get insulted because I have lived in somebody else's country as a guest. And I have always operated when I'm in their country with boundaries and understanding that there's certain things that I won't even speak on, having, like when I was living in the US, because it wasn't really my place. I was not an American citizen. And I think that there's certain things that should be left to them to sort out, right? And so I do get offended when people come here and they try to tell us everything that we're doing is wrong. This is how you run your affairs. This is what you do. They try to insult us, having us believe that somehow they are more intelligent and they're more this and they're more that. And it's just like, really? I mean, really? I'm not buying it for one. Most people, a lot of people who come here, they are closed-minded to their little section of the world, wherever they've come from. They don't have the experiences that they would want us to think that, oh, they're so worldly and we are like little people, little island people running around in grass skirts. So sometimes people have a very limited view of the world and they come in and they encroach on you. And then it's like a recipe for disaster. And I have experienced that. I remember my ex-sister-in-law, when she came to visit her first trip here, she met out with a bird watching friend. I don't know if I told you guys this story before, but it's kind of funny. And so she was at her dining room table talking about how she's going to meet this bird watching lady who lives in Northside. And she's like, oh, people live in the bushes here. I was like, what bushes? Where? In Northside, people live in the bushes? So she had given my sister-in-law this narrative of what Caymanians are like. Oh, they're like hut people and people live in the bushes. I'm like, is that a joke? Are you sure she wasn't joking? Because Cayman has one of the best housing infrastructures in the Caribbean. It's certainly not perfect, but not just in the Caribbean, but probably in the world. Our buildings can hold up to Cat 5 storm. They will get some damage, obviously, but everything isn't toppling over because of poor construction. Whereas Miami, look at what happened when Andrew hit Miami. Everything was flattened because they threw up these buildings. They look good on the outside, but there's not a piece of steel on the interior and there's no concrete. It's all, this flimsy material that just looks good to people to overpay for the housing market. So those are the types of things that will insult me, is when people come in and say foolishness like that, because I'm just like, what did you just say? That what? People living in the bushes in Northside? Like, why would she say that? What does that even mean? Yeah, ignorance is a hell of a thing, folks, and we fight it on many different levels all the time. And what can you do? What can you do really except continue to fight it? So it is what it is. Good luck to that young lady. Louis says interrogation to prove your relationship is legit. Yes, my dear. It happens very much so. And they'll do things to try to trick you and stuff. So you better be in a legit relationship. But again, as we can see from shows like 90 Day Fiancé, there are lots of people who are looking to take advantage of the situation and marry some fool just because they can. And we have that happening right here in the Cayman Islands as well. So yeah, it is what it is, Okay. All right, so we have, again, a company that's going to be joining us here shortly. Big shout out, birthday shout outs to Karen Thompson, who has a birthday, and Oliver Watler. The both of them actually share a birthday. So congratulations and happy birthday to both of them. I think their birthdays might have been yesterday, actually. But hold on now. I got a birthday song. Where's my little birthday cue up here? Happy birthday to you. I gotta turn the volume here. There we go. Yes, happy birthday. That's Stevie Wonder, just in case you're wondering whose voice that is. All right, good folks. We are just waiting on our guests to arrive here shortly. Let me just see what else is trending and what else is going on. In terms of where you guys are at and what sort of messages you have been sending. There were a few things that I was chasing out with the police. One was about a potential breach. I told you guys yesterday, I did send that query to them to see what other breaches have been reported. There's also a situation with a local bar that has been causing for years now a real noise disturbance to individuals. And some of those persons have reached out to ask us to see, what we can ascertain as to why there's little to no police enforcement. So we are looking into that storyline for you guys. More COVID positive tests here in the Cayman Islands is another reason why people are obviously concerned about ongoing, potential breaches, or even how easy it is for persons to get into the Cayman Islands. We do see our guest has joined us. Let me just take a quick commercial break before bringing in our guest this morning. Marshall says, here in the house, a house can be built in about a week. Yes, they do look good and pretty, but they're not strong at all. That's why when a tornado hits, they're shattered all over the place. Absolutely, I've seen it. Very good. So Louis says, quick question. Is there any CMR products for sale? T-shirts, ball caps. Louis, you have read my mind, my friend. Listen, we continually get requests for merchandise, and I am pleased to say that I'm in the process of placing an order, right now as we speak, for CMR mugs, which I know a lot of people love. So we've done some of those already. So we will be getting more CMR mugs. And I was thinking, what else should I order at this time? Maybe this is a good time to kind of get your opinion, Louis. What else do you think people would love to have? Do you prefer, I was actually going to do some stickers because I love the idea of, like I showed you guys, the coat of arms stickers. You can get some CMR stickers. You can stick them on your phone. You can stick them all over the place. So I do kind of like the idea of stickers, but would you prefer something else other than stickers, like, some caps or T-shirts or whatever? Let me know. Let me have your feedback on that. Because yes, definitely, I would be placing an order very soon. I've already been in contact with my supplier, and I just emailed them this morning and said, hey, send me a quote for some stickers as well. Maybe we'll throw some stickers or pens or whatever into the mug order. So Louis, you are psychic, my friend. Right on point. Here, Coco. Coco. Good morning, Sandy, and morning to all of the Sandinistas. Hey, El Rey, what's going on? Let me allow Coco to. Coco, I'm gonna let her out because I know exactly why. I know why she's barking. 1 second.
Magandang araw po mga kababayan, Joy Anglin po. Nabili na po ba ninyo ang dish pack ng Miracle Brokers? Up to 200 pounds kaya pong ilagay dito. Halina po kayo. Christmas na sa Pilipinas. Tamang-tama po para sa mga ate at kuya. Halina po kayo dito sa Miracle Brokers. Miski ano, pwede pong ilagay dito sa box. Pera lang po ang jowa nyo.
Contact us at 949-5989 or email us at info@miraclebrokers.
All right, folks, my apologies. You know, Coco, she's my sidekick some mornings, and she heard someone at the front door. So yes, I like that, Sandinistas. Thank you so much, El Rey. Lizette says, Sandra, I'm still waiting for mug. Don't worry. Like I said, I'm confirming the order. So Lizette, you know what? If I don't write it down, I won't remember that you were at the top of the list. So do I have a pen handy? Let me just type it on my little note sheet here. So yes, do remind me in case I forget, but let me just put it down here that you definitely want a mug. Let's set button for a mug. Louis says, what about masks? We actually had I had some done during COVID myself, but I don't know if a whole lot of people in Cayman are still really wearing masks. But yeah, the masks were pretty cool. Lorna says pens. Kizzy says phone poppers, mask or hats. Okay. Magnets. Magnets are probably not a bad idea. So Darlene says maybe caps and pens. Anna says caps and t-shirts. Lorna saying good morning to Coco. She has left the room. Not left the building, but left the room. So yes, that's all right. Let me consider what other, like I like to do practical merchandise, but I think you can have a lot of fun with caps and shirts because you can make up kind of fun sayings and whatever. Maybe we should have a competition for like a shirt design, and then we can roll out some t-shirts and stuff as well. I like that idea. All right, let me think about it, and we can discuss it a little bit later on. We have Odell Suarez, who is joining us this morning from Refresh. Good morning, Odell.
Good morning, Sandy, and good morning, Cayman. How is everyone doing?
We are good. Looks like you got the memo that orange color of
I noticed that. I was actually, while I was there waiting, I was saying, whoa, same orange, same brightness and everything. Well, it's a bright Wednesday. Let's go for it.
Yes, it was definitely not, it was not planned, put it that way. Yes. So Odell, you're working on a new project. I kind of feel like you're one of those persons who keeps very, very busy, and you're always doing something fun and exciting. So your latest project is something called Refresh. Now tell us, what is Refresh all about?
Well, Refresh, real estate fresh. It's a property care business, and what we do with Refresh, we carry out the basic stuff that you need to have done to your property in order for giving it that fresh look. So you like power washing the property, the decks, your eaves, fascia board, putting on that coat of paint around those areas, and your trims around the house, and taking care of other items needed. So like window cleaning your shutters, super bright in your garage doors, and also some of those tasks that people have like nightmares tackling, like decluttering and clearing out spaces. And when we take these projects on, we actually, arrange for everything that the project requires. So if it's a dumpster needed, we take care of that as well. And arrange if you have minor electrical, minor plumbing needs, anything, that you don't want to have to deal with a host of service providers. We simply just take care of the whole gamut for you. And Morna, you a joker.
So Morna says, good morning, my rich friend Odell. Love the t-shirt. So yes, Odell is representing this morning. So the idea then, Odell, is with your new company, Refresh, is that anyone who is looking to essentially, get services done, and we'll talk about some of the details here in a second of what you offer. So I love the name, by the way. So it's all about just refreshing your property and you guys will be the experts in spearheading that. So, you mentioned power washing. That is really an important way to refresh your property, because can I tell you, just the other day, I was looking at my eaves going, oh, they look like they could use a little something. So power washing sounds like such a simple thing, but it can do wonders for a property.
And also, some people think, yeah, it's just power washing, but you do have to actually exercise care with it. For instance, if you don't intend on fully painting, repainting the fascia board or the eave, you have to take care in how you go about power washing that. You can't use high pressure to start stripping the existing paint, and you also would need the assistance of a soft brush. So things like that, taking the care in doing the job, so that you don't end up with a more costly project in remedying what was initially undertaken.
Very good point. So in other words, you need someone to power wash who knows what they're doing.
Yes.
For sure. Because I've always been tempted, Odell, to purchase, I see that A.L. Thompson's has these little power washers, and they've actually got them on sale again in their little Black Friday thing here. And I always thought, well, gosh, how hard can it be? Maybe I can purchase one of these electric pressure washers and just do it myself. But you would not recommend that as a professional. That's not the way to go.
Well, I mean, if it's just if you're just going to be power washing concrete with no care in terms of stripping away anything, because even some properties with the marmor and the rendering that is there, the exterior texture, depending on the age of the home, you can also end up stripping away some of that exterior texture there. Then you end up with a situation more than what you entered with. So so you do have to take care in terms of how you do that.
So let's not play amateur Mr. Fix-It here. Thanks for the advice. So what else? Power washing, a little touching up of paint if people need touching up of paint. What other sprucing up projects can you recommend? Because this is the time to do it. November, we're at the end of November, we're going into Christmas. Caymanians have a tradition of wanting their properties to look very good for the Christmas season.
Yeah, so one of the, with our packages, so we have the pick 3 and we have the pick 5, yeah? And in that, we have the list of service that Sandy shows there in the mix and match column. That's where you actually pick your 3 from or pick your 5 from. And then we have the add-on services. Now, such some things that people need to get done as well. For instance, like replacing that mesh, the window mesh that is broken, that because it's broken, you're afraid to open the window because you're afraid of the creepy crawlers coming in, etc. Or so those are services that that we can have done for you. Repainting your yard ornaments, your benches, your play swing set, doing your exterior fencing, your boundary fences, whether power washing those or doing the touch-ups for you. And what we did with this package, with these packages, we actually priced them in a way that is resident friendly. Try and let it be as affordable to a wide cross section of society, that it's not something that you need to be pulling out $3,000-$5,000 to undertake these projects. So we were mindful of that, and it's a way for us to introduce ourselves to the market, but also, in a sense, giving back to our society. Morning, staff member just walked in. Yeah, so for instance, tree pruning, like if you have that big tree that the regular landscapers can't take care of, we can arrange that for you. And yesterday I did a site visit, and there was a nest, a beehive that was there that created a problem for the property owner. And so we can arrange removal of those things so that you can have access to your entire property in getting the services done. So like interior, minor interior wall repairs, minor electrical, minor plumbing, stuff like that, stuff. And we also offer refreshing the roof. For instance, you'll see like some roof will look worn, have a bit of, wearing going on, weathering going on up there, that a little refreshing can make it look like a brand new roof. So yeah, so those are some of the services that from the add-on section, but the regular services, as we mentioned, are there: the pool deck, exterior trims, borders, painting exterior doors and walkways, pavement driveways, eave gutters, fascia boards. So yeah, and pretty much can also get your home a super bright wash. So yeah.
Nice. All right, so it's a lot of options, to be honest. So let's just go over how you can do the picking packages. So pick 3. So I can basically pick any 3 options that are in the darker green, which is to the left-hand side. So say, for example, I want the pool deck done, exterior trim, and a super bright wash. So I can pick those 3. And then depending on the square footage.
Right. Yeah, depending on your square footage.
So smaller homes pay a little bit less. And then, of course, if you have a bigger home, because more work has to be done. But I like how it's a fixed rate, though. I like that people know going in what they're going to be paying.
Yes, that's the idea, because for me, myself, I like to know what it is that I'm going to be paying for. I like to know what my financial obligation is at the end. I get anxiety with variance when it comes to pricing, for instance, some service providers that used to pretty much charge a mortgage for a phone bill. Oh my God, at the end of the month, everyone used to have anxiety when those bills were coming up.
No, I like it. And then the pick 5 option gives you more services, and then you can do an add-on. Now, is there a fixed rate for the add-ons, or does that
no, the add-on, because we don't want to overpromise and underperform, and then at the end of the day, we don't want to put ourselves in a jam where the project cost exceeds the revenue from the project. So that is typically a site visit. Let's see what it is that you need get done. Then we can actually price those add-ons.
Okay. Nice. I like it. Wonderful. So your team has already been out and about getting some stuff done. We've got an email and contact number here. People, you can reach out to Odell's team, refresh.ky@gmail.com. Phone number is 623-6631. Nice, easy number to remember. What sort of turnaround time are we talking about here, Odell? So if I call you today, when can I hope to get booked and have someone come out?
Yes, so we ask for a 48-hour lead time, and that is for us to arrange all the items needed for the project. And then we come out, and how we've designed the program, it depends on the project, of course, the picks and the size of the home. But typically the project time is usually it's 2 days to max 5 days, depending on the square footage and the amount of service that has been requested.
Okay, so Morna says that you can come and check her. Sounds like she's got some house projects for you. Marshall does say that he actually does pressure washing in the US, and he has an electric pressure washer. That's one of the jobs that he does. So very good. And yeah, Morna seems like she is serious about needing a little bit of a facelift for her home ASAP. So again, she wants to be ready for Christmas. So
Yes.
take down Morna. I'll send you her number. Take down her
I have
information.
more than a number.
Okay. You've got her in lockdown already.
Yeah. Friend from way back when.
All right, Morna. So he's going to get you all sorted out then for the Christmas holidays. What are some of the services you think people, other than power washing, because I think the end of the year, that's always a good way to spruce up your property. But what are some of the more in-demand services that people need right now, Odell?
I think, taking care of that patio where you actually have your gathering space, getting that ready. And sometimes if it's an outside patio or screened in, and that's where your central gathering place is for your socialization. That can always do with some work. The garage doors are a big one as well, and I fancy that the roof. And since we actually started this project, every time I drive around, I like that house needs a refresh. And it's funny when you actually enter into business, your eyes become more open to the opportunities of it as you drive around and see. So I'm seeing a lot now. My question that I'm asking, do you think it's okay for me to go and put a flyer by these properties?
All right. So folks, whatever refreshing needs you have, please definitely contact Odell and his team. They do have services available. I love the services that are on here. Everything from painting of your ceilings, refreshing the roof, painting yard or ornaments. So just in time again for Christmas. So if I have that Santa, Odell, that has been looking kind of, ghetto-fied because I've neglected Santa and I put him out every year, you'll come and you'll paint Santa for me?
Are you talking the plastic Santas or the more sturdy?
The yard Santas.
Well, put it this way. I never thought about the Christmas ornaments. I was thinking more of like the concrete ornaments, but if the price is right, we paint a Santa.
Yes, trust me, you can't afford to go buy a new Santa, so that might be the case. A little fresh paint does wonders for all sorts of things. So we've got minor electrical work, minor plumbing, drywall, landscaping and pruning of trees, repair interior and exterior walls, super bright boundary walls and doing the fence, and of course, mending or replacing any sort of screens that might need attention as well. This is quite a comprehensive list, Odell, so I'm glad to see that you're doing that. What does the decluttering and deep cleaning involve?
Well, one, it requires us, that home that has been lived in for years and quite a few generations, and accumulated stuff. There was a show on it. But for homes like that, the mountain has just become too high and too daunting to tackle. We will actually take care of that for you. So that will include like us arranging the dumpster, getting out those old appliances out of the home. Sometimes it's a simple case where the homeowners just aren't physically capable to remove them themselves. So we are able to take care of that, some able-bodied, strong people.
Yeah, and of course, right now, there is the bulk cleanup, which I'd like to remind people about, that is available. So you can just put it out and government will come and collect it, but you still need someone. Here's the bulk cleanup flyer. You still need someone to come and take it out of the home and maybe take it to the curbside.
Right, yeah.
So that part of it can be done.
Definitely.
Yep. Absolutely. So Odell's team will assist with that as well. We've got window cleaning, including shutters on the exterior, eaves, gutters, and the boards. Now, the eaves and gutters, Odell, very, very important during hurricane season. And I know people think that we're coming up on the tail end of hurricane season. Although, to be quite honest, I would proceed with caution because they're saying that this year's hurricane season could actually extend into January. That's crazy. But with that in mind, Odell, remind people why it's so incredibly important to make sure things like the eaves are cleaned out.
Yes, well, you want to keep your eaves clean and free from debris, such as and even vegetation that falls off the surrounding trees, because it creates the blockage. Then the weight can actually tear the eave away from the fascia board, away from the wall. That would actually put you in a greater expense path to have it repaired. And and also, if you maintain a cistern, you do want to have a free clear path to the cistern, as well as kind of keep as much of the contaminants out from going into the cistern. I know that most people don't usually drink the cistern water, but use it for alternative purposes. But there are still some people who actually treat their catchment water and actually drink it. So it's good to to keep that in mind, and be safe at the same time for your health, while you maintain your property the best that you can to keep the value up.
Good stuff. All right, folks. So any question? Odell's got a few more minutes that he's going to be here with us. Any questions for Odell that perhaps he can answer regarding the services of Refresh? So I think it's pretty clear cut in terms of, what Refresh offers. You can get any sort of cleaning stuff around the house done, minor projects. This is the opportunity to do it. I know some of you have been holding on to your pension money, and one good way to spend it wisely is to invest in, some property upgrades, because as Odell just pointed out, that is something that will always add value to your home. You can't go wrong with adding value to your house, as long as you continue to pay the mortgage, folks. Because as long as you continue to pay the mortgage, it's still your house. The bank is like, okay, you can keep it.
Till next month.
Yeah, exactly.
Till the next payment.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know how that goes. But Odell, this is, I think, a wonderful, fantastic idea. I personally do like this, and I think that your company is going to do well. There's a lot of little maintenance companies around, and I got to tell you, anytime you call one of these guys to come out and do something for you, they are so incredibly busy. They can never get to you. So I think having, one more company in the lineup, Caymanian-owned business that can offer this service, I say, why not? I think that the concept of fixed pricing for these types of services, pick and match, is a good idea, great value. And again, it allows people to budget based on what their needs are and what their square footage of their house is.
And that's the primary focus point when we were developing the pricing concept. And again, we wanted something that was manageable on the budget for as many homeowners as possible. And that's the reason why, the prices are so friendly. I personally believe that it's an affordable scheme that was developed there. So, but and also just to point out, Sandy, all of the affiliate companies that we have in partnership with are all Caymanian owned and operated by Caymanians. So that was something. Well, you know me, I've always been pro Caymanian in terms of even with my staff and in my office, 100% Caymanian. That is something that I believe I do not subscribe to. And I was listening yesterday with that job post that was a jackass of the day. But I don't subscribe to this notion that we can't do. And I really don't. I believe that it's a coward's way out to either pay cheap labor or to have a set type of control over individuals.
Yep.
So yeah, pro Cayman all the way. So that's what we do. Some of our affiliates are like Hides and Son, and Miller's Plumbing, etc. So yeah, we keep it McLaughlin, and we just pretty much try and work with our locals as our fellow Caymanians as much as possible in developing it, because truth be told, it's kind of the market is kind of segregated in with regards to some services and some industry. So you got to look out for your own.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. All right, folks. So again, this is Refresh, a new company here in the Cayman Islands. And you are more than welcome to check out their services. Contact number is 623-6631. Email refresh.ky@gmail.com. They are offering property care services for your home. And if you are a property manager, even folks, you should really consider speaking to Odell to see how maybe you can work out a partnership on an ongoing basis of how he can take on some of your properties and schedule his guys to come out and do your regular maintenance and your routine services that you need for the different properties that you manage. So I think there's lots of scope there for growth for your organization, Odell. Once again, thank you so much for coming on the program today. Folks, in case you missed it earlier, this is a segment of Everybody's Business. This is something that we feature on Wednesdays. You can join us as well for a nominal fee to tell us all about your small businesses, your medium-sized businesses, or heck, even the larger businesses. Know that CMR is the place to be noticed and the place to get the word out there about what you're offering. A lot of businesses are doing Black Friday sales. Folks, contact us. We have a lot of options available to make sure that everybody in Cayman knows what you have on offering. Odell, thank you, my dear.
Thank you too, and have a great day, Cayman.
Yes, absolutely. So Odell will be joining us again in the near future, because Odell he wears numerous hats. So at some point he'll put on another hat and tell us what else he has been up to. But we appreciate him coming and joining us today. Folks, it is 9:30. That is the end of our program. Another beautiful day. Today is Wednesday. So just a quick reminder about tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to be a little bit different in the morning, because I do have a court hearing in the morning. So those of you who can come out, bless your hearts, come on out, join us at court at 10 o'clock. But what I'm going to do in the morning is I've got a couple of things that I've got to get on the road with super, super early. So I'm a bit undecided yet on whether or not we will have like just a mini show to just check in with you guys and see how you're doing. Listen, a lot of times we can do the show from the car, because I'm going to take my daughter to school first and then run my errands and get to court on time. But it's bumper to bumper traffic. So it's like, what else do I have to do but to talk to you guys on a live stream? So we may just do it from the phone remotely in the car. And of course, yes, we have hands-free all sorted out so that we can be safe. But that's all she wrote, good people. I wish you a beautiful day. Shout out to our friends over at Miracle Brokers. If you're looking to bring in your cars or anything else for the Christmas, do contact them. They would be more than happy to assist you at 949-5989 is their number. They do the Filipino boxes for $65. So that's also a wonderful option for you. And of course, shout out to Burger King, Popeyes, and other businesses that support us. By the way, do not forget that Give Me a Story is coming up with an event this weekend. I'm just trying to see if I have that ready here, but I'm going to pull that up maybe for tomorrow's show. So they do have an event coming up. I want you guys to support this. This is one of those cultural events that people look forward to, I think, every single year. And so COVID has thrown us for a loop and has changed things up a little bit. However, it's not going to stop the train, right? So we are still going to do a lot of celebratory things. We're going to enjoy our culture. We're in the middle of Pirates Week right now, for example. I know some of you have been enjoying some of those festivities. So yeah, go out there and try to enjoy life as much as you can. And this is another one of those wonderful projects that we're definitely supporting. We should have an update hopefully by tomorrow or later on today of what came out of the meeting with the Nicaraguan nationals last night. They had a planning meeting and they're organizing themselves to get ready for a relief program that they're offering, that they're trying to organize to get some much needed relief to the people in Nicaragua after being hit by not one, but two major Category 5 storms. Also, a big shout out to the Cayman Islands AIDS Foundation. They are having a dinner, drinks and drag show this coming Saturday, November the 28th. The venue is at the Marriott Beach Resort. It's always a good, entertaining show. They have international entertainers often that they bring in. I don't know that this year that they'll be bringing in international entertainers, obviously because of the situation with COVID, but there is a lot of local talent that we can look forward to. A bit of dance. DJ Alec is always there supporting them. And the Cayman AIDS Foundation does a lot of work. Or maybe we'll have Noelle on like on Friday to tell us some of the things that they do and some of the programs that they offer, the educational programs that they offer. So thank you, Morna. Thank you, Crystal. Yes, Crystal reminds us that tomorrow is actually American Thanksgiving, which means that Cayman Thanksgiving is going to be shortly after that as well. So I think this year it's going to fall on the 7th because it's always the first Sunday of December. So get ready for that. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do anything for either Thanksgiving, to be honest. You kind of just feel like, I just need a rest. You know, cooking is a lot of work, folks. When you take on Christmas or Thanksgiving dinner, woo, let me tell you, you're committing to quite an ordeal. All right, so a couple other stories we're chasing up. Somebody else just sent another story about a stolen boat. We'll find out if there's any truth to that. We'll reach out to the RCIPS. Don't forget, folks, you can also advertise in our Christmas booklet here on CMR. So we're going to do a PDF booklet, which will be available online. So if you run, again, a small business, you've got small business services, and you wish to get the word out there, this is a wonderful booklet. It'll be an electronic booklet, so people can flip through it electronically. We do not believe in wasting trees. So do let us know. Contact us, our sales team at 926-1213, and we'll be happy, more than happy, to get you sorted out in terms of that. So yes, have a beautiful day, folks. Appreciate the love and support as always. And you know, we got our finger on the pulse of everything that is happening right here in the Cayman Islands. And we shall see you guys hopefully tomorrow morning. Take care until then.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read its mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.